Hi everybody, it's Mopsy here. I've had a few people ask me to do a quick overview on Hyperfont for them, so here goes, and I apologise if people don't understand what I'm saying. Do ask any questions that you may have. I'm starting with my basic Futura software. I've clicked New to get a blank hoop on the screen, and I'm going straight to my Hyperfont. And the Hyperfont wizard opens and I click next, and the first thing I do is what is the text that I want to embroider out. In this case I'm just going to do this is a test, and it's just a single line. And now I want to choose the font, so select the font box opens, and here you can see the list of all the TrueType fonts that I can use that I have on my computer. What I tend to do is click on one and then use the down arrow on my keyboard to scroll through them until I find one that I like to go with whatever project excuse me, that I'm creating. If you know the name of the font, as long as your cursor is up in the name box here, if you type the letter, like I want to use Ravi font, if I type the letter R for Ravi, you can see it goes straight down to the fonts beginning with the letter R. So here it is, Ravi, or Ravi is the one I want to use. My other options are to have it just as a regular font. I can bold or embolden it. Basically that just thickens it up. I can go oblique, which is just another word for italic, which is the other word you'll see occasionally, or I can have it bold oblique or thicken italic. In this case I'm just going to go with a regular or a bold, straight bold font here and say OK. So I'm using the Ravi font and I want to embroider this is a test. I click on next, and it's asking me, do I want to have the stitches filled or do I want a column stitch, which is your satin stitch. In this case I want it filled, so I'm going to leave the fill stitch selected and go to finish, and there it's put it on the center, and I'm going to move it up to the top of my hoop, and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit to make it easier for you to see on the screen what I'm doing. Now you can see I've got all my editing options here. First thing is, what color do I want it? Let's go for one of the red colors. And size wise, I've got two choices here. I can either allow the software to choose the height of the size of the font, 0.6, 1, go back to 6, maybe 8, and you can see here that these are all preset numbers. I don't have to use those. If I want, I can highlight over it and I can say I want it 0.7. So you're not restricted to the presets. You can put in whatever size that you want here. The spacing, if you imagine that your text is on like an elastic band or a rubber band, each individual letter remains the same size, and all this alters is the space between them. So if I go down to 0, you can see the letters or the numbers, whatever you've got, are touching each other because I've said I want 0 space between each character. I can go up to 8, and now I've got 8 points spacing between each of the characters. Again, I'm not restricted to these. If I want, I can say 0.12. Sorry, 0. Actually, I've just found something out. It looks like there may be a restriction here. Let's see. 2. Oh no. Okay, that was my fault. Wow. So I've now got a 2 between them. Wow. Okay, I've learned something now. So, as I say, you're not restricted to the presets here. You can put in whatever size that you want. So, I'm on 6. The difference between using the spacing size the distance between the characters, and what a lot of people do, which is dragging out from the side handles. If you notice here, each character has got larger, as opposed to just the space between them. So I hope you can appreciate the difference there. If I drag on the sidebars here, I'm affecting the character and the spacing. By using the space option, I'm only affecting the spaces between the characters, not the actual characters themselves. So hope that makes sense so far. And the other things I can do, I don't know if you can notice, we have these square blocks or circular blocks around the outside and on the underscore of the text here. These are known as handles, and each one of them does something different. If I come to the middle here and drag up and drag down, you can see the effect that that's having, and it doesn't really make a difference if you're using the top or the bottom. Likewise, this handle moving in and out in the center here is having the same effect. So this button and this button are identical. Likewise, this button and this button is identical. The corner button here, I'm holding my mouse key down and moving it around, so you can affect all sorts of things here with that. There's no way to describe that, you just have to play with it. Here you can see it's a circle rather than a square, and that is so you can rotate. Likewise, the opposite corner is also a circle, and this is also a rotate. So again, these two are identical. The circle here and the circle here are your rotate buttons. But we've also got some other fun things on here. I don't know if you can notice the underline immediately under the text. If I come to the one on this end, the square, it's a little bit different from rotate, and you can see I can move that out. But I can also move it over here and up here and down here. So that's a fun one. This one works in the same way, just in the other direction. But these two smaller boxes, they will give you curves and other fun stuff. How cool is this? We can work together. Yeah. So all I say is have a play around with it, because this can be a lot of fun to do. And when you've got everything set, come up here and say stitch it. That finishes it off. And I always like to view in the realistic view so I can see what it's going to stitch out like. And I'm looking at that and saying, maybe not, maybe I want to change it a little bit. And the way to change it is to come up here to your outline edit button. You can see that up here. And when I click the outline edit, if you notice there's a letter A appear in a box. If I click that, that takes me back to the edit screen with all my options. So let me just do something silly. I'm just going to pull that line down and say stitch it, and there we go. So you make your changes. So that's a very quick overview on just one line of text. And then don't forget to do a file save as, save your design as, and save it to your computer. I'm not going to save this. I'm going to leave it as it is. So that's just a very basic overview on a straight line. I hope you enjoyed that. The second one to this, I'll do multiple lines of text. You know where to find me.